I lost my V card to a 37-year-old woman, and now a 14-year-old girl has reached out to me claiming I'm her father. It has been a weird couple of days for me and I need to get this off my chest. This all started on Friday when I got a Facebook message from an old colleague telling me my daughter was trying to get in contact with me. I hadn't heard from this person in years, so I was skeptical at first, but I decided to hear them out. The girl in question has recently lost her mother to cancer, and the man who she thought was her father turned around and told her she wasn't his and kicked her out. She moved in with her uncle thankfully, but ever since she's been looking for her real dad. Anyways, around 15 years ago I was a naive young man barely in my 20s working in a supermarket. When I started I was buddied up with a 37-year-old woman who was drop dead gorgeous. Like I said, I was rather naive, so obviously I instantly became infatuated with her easygoing and tactile demeanor. Sadly, only a month after I started that job she handed in her notice, and that spurred me to go for it and ask her out on a date. She laughed and agreed, and so started the wildest 3 months of my life. I won't go into details, but we were intimate on a handful of occasions and I even stupidly confessed my love to her, but it was then she told me she was moving away to be with her fiancé, which left me absolutely heartbroken. Later a colleague would tell me that she was also seeing a guy who worked on the checkouts at the same time she was seeing me. Back to the present day and I had all but forgot about it. I have 2 kids and a very pregnant wife to think about after all, so this has somewhat knocked me sideways. I feel for the kid having her whole world torn apart so abruptly, but the thing is I don't think I'm her father. Though I was young and foolish I always used protection, but there is a part of me that hopes I am, as I can provide the loving family that she is so desperately looking for. I haven't told my wife yet because she is 8 months pregnant with our 3rd child and has enough to worry about, but I have arranged a paternity test. Another thought that crossed my mind that she is contacting me first because I am the better prospect, as I went on to bigger and better things while the other guy still works on the checkouts at the same store 15 years later, and from what I've been told has a bit of a problem with alcohol. I'm also angry at the man who raised her, playing dad all those years only to callously abandon her when she needed him the most. I'm also angry and sad that I might have missed out on so much of my potential daughter's childhood. The wife knows something's up, so I think I'm going to bite the bullet and tell her. I just had to get this off my chest. Edit. Update. Wow. I didn't expect this to blow up so much. I have an update on the situation, so I sat my wife down and told her everything this morning like most of you have been suggesting. After giving me a severe tongue lashing for not telling her sooner, my wife said probably the most sensible thing I've heard, which is I should try and contact the girl's uncle to verify her story. And boy am I glad I did. You see, I had made one fatal assumption, which was that the stepfather was the same person as the fiancé. Turns out checkout guy found out about the baby and claimed she was his. The fiancé broke things off after finding out about her infidelity and decided to move abroad. Checkout guy got a paternity test when the girl was born and he wasn't the father, but he only did it to try and get back together with her, which obviously failed miserably. The stepfather didn't come along until a year or 2 later after the girl was born. He's been having a hard time dealing with the death of his wife. And after a particularly bad argument decided the best thing was for the girl to go and stay with her uncle, who was an absolutely lovely guy and actually remembered me even though I had only met him briefly in the past. Anyway, she is happy and safe at her uncle's. It's close to her school and she gets on well with her cousins. The crazy thing is that they weren't actually looking for me, I just happened to have the same first name as the fiancé. The young lady jumped the gun in getting in contact with me, but they are 99% sure that the fiancé is her father. This is when my wife made another sensible suggestion. God, I love that woman so much, and asked for the girl's birthday so we can match up the dates, and they don't quite match up, but I'm still going through with the paternity test just in case. The thing is, now I have to put up with the odd rendition of Billie Jean from My Beloved, which is probably going to last a few weeks before it gets old. I should explain why I didn't immediately tell my wife about this. You see, I was just panicking about the whole situation, and though she is a caring and understanding woman, she can be rather ferocious. Needless to say, I try not to find myself on the sharp end of her tongue. Also, she is 8 months pregnant and it has been a difficult pregnancy for her, and I didn't want to add any extra stress, but as many of you have pointed out, it would have only been worse if I had not said anything. Though I'd do a fresh post since the other one was getting quite long. For those who haven't read my first one, the title pretty much sums it up, and I left it waiting for the results of the paternity test, but it didn't look very likely. Well, the results are in. First though I want to tell you guys about something that happened on Thursday. I was minding my own business cooking the kids' dinner when my wife starts calling my name and telling me to come quick. I rush into the living room and she's flapping her arms like a madwoman and pointing at her phone. Your story's on TikTok. She yells excitedly. FML, that woman nearly gave me a heart attack. I was shitting a brick thinking that her waters had broken early, so thanks for that. Right, so back to the results, and I am not the father. I know some of you have said I should adopt her anyway, but personally I think that would be highly inappropriate. Also, one critical point I forgot to mention is that I actually live in Norway and she is in the UK, so it wouldn't be practical. However, that isn't the end of the story. Far from it, in fact, because even though I am not her father, we have enough common DNA to be fairly close cousins. This was when it hit me. Cousin Jeff, not his real name. Cousin Jeff, the son of my dad's oldest brother and is 12 years my senior, and incidentally my wife's stepbrother. He had found out about me and the ex after bumping into us on a night out and promptly told my entire family just to embarrass me. Needless to say, he is a massive dick. Anyway, around the time I was moping around after getting my heart broken, Jeff was making lots of cryptic remarks about sloppy seconds, his words, not mine. I didn't think anything of it at the time because he always enjoyed winding me up and had only been married to his now ex-wife for around 18 months, but now I'm not sure. Jeff has twin daughters in their early 20s who are on good terms with my wife, so we reached out to them first since they know how to handle him. They said they would get him to do a DNA test even if they had to resort to bully him into it, but as of this moment that's as far as we know. As for the young lady who contacted me, my wife has been in contact with her every day and has been super supportive. We get on really well with her uncle and his wife, so she may not have found the father she was expecting, but she has found a load of cousins that will welcome her into the family with open arms. I just want to thank everyone who has taken the time to read my posts and send me such supportive messages. Also, I want to apologize if anything sounded a bit odd, since despite being from the UK I've lived in Norway for nearly 10 years now and I sometimes forget how to speak English, which is weird. And finally, I think everyone is being a bit harsh on the stepfather, and to be honest I was in my initial post for sending the girl to live with her uncle. He isn't coping after the death of his wife but saw that he was just hurting his stepdaughter, so he sent her away so she didn't have to be around it. From what I've been told, they're going to therapy and hope to mend their relationship, and I wish him all the best because even though he isn't her dad by blood, he's the only dad she's ever known.